tutti ragazzi e bentornati a un nuovo episodio di The End of Glory. Dunque, l'ultima volta avevamo provato a usare la cartellina del bingo, ma senza successo, quindi non lo so, dobbiamo cercare altre cose. Ci siamo persi qualcosa? Vediamo un attimo.
Only a huge quantity of trash remain now.
Perché diceva che non bastava, con queste finestrelle abbassate. E proviamo a rivedere un attimo nella stanza della ragazza, se c'è qualcosa. Sicuramente c'è qualche indizio che ci siamo persi. Dunque, perché se noi la usavamo così, praticamente che diceva?
I'd already tried the figures from the nightstand with no
La
result.
provate senza
I was sure they were a
risultato.
clue, but I needed something else.
Gli serve altro, quindi c'è la base l'abbiamo fatta giusta. Il problema è che gli serve ancora
It
altro.
was stuck. And so
Però le palle
there
erano
were a
queste.
bunch of numbers. 11, 23.
Che avevamo
They had
fatto
to
pure
mean
la
something.
foto. Eh sì, sono
Notes,
d'accordo.
scribbles.
Però non c'era
The jewelry
altro.
box contained exact.
Quindi per forza di cose ci deve essere qualche altro indizio da qualche altra parte.
There was nothing of interest to me at the moment. The room as a whole reflected the shy personality of someone barely beyond her childhood. It exuded repressed fury.
Perché tra le cose che abbiamo non penso ci siano altri numeri. Chiavi, badge, lettera. Ah, 52, 17, 90, 11, 15, 72.
Those numbers had to mean something. What if they were a clue to the bingo card I found?
Oh, ma te culo. Aspetta, faccio sempre la solita foto che sennò tra 3 secondi mi sono scordata. Ok. Dunque, allora, vediamo un attimo la cartellina del bingo. 52, 17, 90. 52, 17, 90, quelli già sono chiusi. 11, 15, 72, quindi forse è così, devono rimanere solo questi. Proviamo.
I would obtain very little by simply guessing.
No, perché mi dici così?
The projector worked only through the insertion, but I couldn't find any of them.
Perché mi dici così? Allora, riapriamo un attimo tutto. Allora, se dovessimo abbassare soltanto 52, 17, 90, 11, 15, 72. Proviamo così?
I would obtain very little by.
No. E se invece facciamo come avevo fatto al contrario, quindi questa alzi, questa abbassi, così, 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 prende il contrario,
I
coprendo.
inserted the numbers scribbled on the envelope.
Ok, queste sono quelle scarabocchiate nella busta, che poi secondo me è fatta al contrario, però vabbè.
I inserted the numbers found in the envelope, but the beam of light only highlighted letters without a complete meaning. I was sure they were a clue, but
Quindi
I
ci
needed
vogliono
something
entrambe
else.
le cose. Allora, adesso devo fare di nuovo la foto anche a quegli altri del cassetto, perché probabilmente dobbiamo mettere entrambe le cose. Quindi
I didn't want to move them. They might be hiding a clue.
sì, no, le devi solo
There were
vedere.
a bunch of numbers. 11, 23, 8, 52, 72, 36, 61. They had to
Ok,
be.
allora, qui è sempre il solito discorso al contrario, cioè devo coprire quelli che non ci stanno. Allora, l'11 c'è, il 23 c'è, 8 c'è, 52 c'è, 72 c'è, 36, 61. Di qua abbiamo 52, 17, 90, 11, 15, 72. Quindi il 3 va coperto, il 36 no, il 17 no, l'11 no, 8 no, il 15 no, 52 neanche, il 48 mi sa di sì, questo va chiuso. 61 no, 90 no, 72. Mazza, soltanto 2 così,
I would obtain very little by...
No, allora forse quelli che stanno in entrambe le caselle, gli appunti. L'11 sta da tutte e due le parti. Il 23 no. L'8 no. Il 52 sì. Quindi 11 e 52 stanno da entrambi. 72 idem. Quindi 11, 52 e 72. 36 no, 61 no. Quindi forse solo 11, 52 e 72 e gli altri invece vanno chiusi tutti.
I was sure I had set the right code.
Ok.
First clues to suggest it were the numbers inside the drawer. Based only on those, though, the possible combinations would be countless. I got the key to reading it from the envelope I received the morning before. The lunatic was toying with me as a cat does a mouse. And yet I couldn't help but continue going down that road.
Ok, quindi dovrebbe essere la volta buona.
I felt like an old man hearing the final number called, the victorious one. I had done it. The peculiar angle of the holes directed the beam of light toward 3 specific points on the bookcase, highlighting 3 syllables.
Balsamo.
Bal, sa, mo. Balsamo, Italian for balm. Why did Catherine leave a clue in Italian?
Chissà
I was
come mai.
confused. All that work just served to lead me to a hygiene product?
Ok, quindi andiamo un attimo al bagno.
Was pointing to something inside.
Ma no, devo andare al bagno, il balsamo. Ah, sono collegate. Vabbè.
The message hidden in the young girl's room led me to the
Niente,
word
non lo sapevo.
balsam. It's Italian for balm. Still unsure of what I had just found, I took the product in question and looked at it more closely. Nothing. No writing, creases, or rip on the label. No tiny objects hidden in the gooey interior liquid. Just a simple damned balm. For that first day of investigation, I conceded defeat. I lost half a day risking my life on unstable makeshift ledges and in smelly sewers. I lost the other half playing bingo with the ghost of the person I was trying to find. Oh, and came away with sticky soap bubbles in my pockets. Yet, I couldn't think of anything I should have done differently. In a way, I was sure I had moved one step closer to the truth. There was going to be no ransom. The egregious Mr. Molesberg would have been waiting in vain until I found something.
Tutto per un balsamo. 13 novembre, appartamento di Lars.
Lately, I hardly get any sleep. This kidnapping case was making matters worse. An extravagant girl, Catherine, the claustrophobic atmosphere of the Molesberg mansion, the twisted challenge that was thrown at me, and that mask. That mask was haunting me. That morning, I found a surprise waiting for me in the Miami Harbinger. Tucked between its pages, similar to the letter found 2 days before, an envelope stuck out. Inside it, a note, displaying some chess pieces, whose meaning would only become clear to me later, and a picture that immediately attracted my attention. Catherine, hand in hand with a guy I'd never seen before. I woke up with very few ideas, but this event gave me a new lead to investigate. But who sent that hint? I had to show the picture to Alice by the end of the day. I was sure she knew her stuff about online searches.
Bene. Dunque, vediamo se c'è altro nel giornale.
The paper opened with news about a little tourist plane that had apparently escaped from the Bermuda Triangle unharmed. Normally, the Harbinger didn't deal with such cases, but in this particular situation, there were clues and disturbing details that attracted the attention of the media. From the article, it appeared that the investigator in charge was none other than the infamous Noah Adote Adwele, the man responsible for the so-called weird cases of the HPD. Had very little to do with him, but he always seemed very antisocial to me.
E questo chi è? Notizie dal mondo. Avendo una grande varietà di interessi, Michael S. si trova spesso in difficoltà sul decidere che sia quale film guardare. Dove andare in vacanza o a quale hobby dedicarsi. La gente mi dice che non posso padroneggiare ogni ambito, lo vedremo, ha dichiarato al Miami Harbinger durante un'intervista telefonica. Ha poi continuato parlando maniacalmente del suo prossimo progetto, una fonte di energia rinnovabile che ha a che vedere con le patate, le reazioni chimiche e il suo cane. Sarà rivoluzionario, ha urlato al telefono quando all'improvviso la linea si è interrotta dopo quello che sembrava il rumore di qualcosa in frantumi e l'ululato di un cane. Questo reporter spera che il cane stia bene. Vabbè. Vabbè, andiamo da Alice allora. Se dobbiamo chiedere aiuto a lei.
In addition to investigating the picture, and some other leads to follow. First of all, Lupe had told me Melsberg would return during the day, and I absolutely had to question him. In addition, I wanted to better inspect the alley
Dai,
and
sto vicolo.
challenged by that madman. I had to check if someone saw or heard something useful that night.
Ok, però volevo vedere un attimo la foto.
It showed Catherine with an athletic-looking guy with gel-slicked hair. Very, masculine.
Il
Did that balm
balsamo.
bottle really contain a secret? Well, at the very least, that month, I'd save on soap.
E il foglietto con gli scacchi. La torre è verde e il cavallo è verde.
The meaning of that little note, along with the identity of the one who delivered it to me, remained a mystery.
Ok, vabbè, direi andiamo da Alice prima di tutto. Quindi il quartier generale. Quello sta ancora suonando. Allora, Alice.
Hello.
Hi, Lars.
Guarda questa foto, Alice.
Look at this picture, Alice.
That's the recently kidnapped girl, isn't it? The one you were investigating.
Precisely. Do you recognize the guy accompanying young Catherine?
I recognize the girl only because her picture is everywhere. I don't recall ever seeing him at all.
Have you got any way to find additional information?
I have many resources, my dear investigator. I'll make a copy of the picture, and I'll let you know. But I'll need some time.
Good girl. Dig up all the dirt you can.
Immediately, oh umpteenth wannabe alpha male. I'll let you know.
Another thing, while we're here. If I say the Italian word balsamo, or balm, does it remind you of anything?
Do you think this is the right time to play to word association games?
I can assure you that this balm is vital to the Melsberg investigation. Saying it out loud, I know it sounds a bit stupid, but you can't even imagine how much sweat it took me to get it.
I'll do a search. Maybe the word has a certain secondary meaning that we're missing.
Ok, mi dici altro?
Hi, Lars.
Non riesco a smettere di fissare il tuo ciuffo.
I can't stop staring.
All right, then. Come on, lay out your hypothesis. Let's see your famous intuition at work.
Judging by your behavior, I'd say that in your adolescence you were a shy and introverted girl. You spent your days wondering how it would be, for once, to find the courage to strike up a conversation with anyone. Courage, however, that you never found, causing you to grow that rebellious lock, hoping it might earn you a shred of attention. That was your way of declaring to the whole world you weren't the loser they thought.
I don't mean to brag, but at school, I was one of the most popular girls. I did well in almost all my subjects, but not enough to be classified a bookworm. You let me down. Maybe you're not the great detective that I thought.
I'm just warming up.
Vabbè, ciao.
We'll catch up later.
Keep me posted.
Quindi, mentre questa cerca le notizie, noi andremo alla villa dei Melsberg. Oppure prima andiamo al vicolo. Possiamo andare anche prima al vicolo, perché con la villa dei Melsberg secondo me è più lunga la cosa. Vediamo un attimo. Allora, c'è qualche news qua cliccabile. Vediamo un attimo qua. Ah, adesso si può entrare, perfetto.
And who would you be, Grasshopper?
Who am I? I am...
Forget it, I don't care. You're hired as sous chef.
Sei assunto.
Sous chef?
Not that there was a queue for the job. We hung the sign outside the door 2 months ago, and you were the first and only one who showed up.
You'll be shocked to discover that there's no sign hanging on the door.
Damn Roger. He must have stolen it to use it as a dish. Such ingratitude.
Anyway, there must be some misunderstanding. I'm just here in the capacity of,
Are you here to work as a dishwasher? Very well, you can start right now.
It'd be an honor to work as a sous chef for a professional in the business. In fact, I've always dreamed of a career like this.
Great. I'm Chef Tony.
Chef
From
Tony.
now on, your life is mine.
Can I call you Antoine?
No. For now, there's not much to do, so just observe me and try to learn something. I'll find you something to do for tonight.
May I at least ask you some questions?
Do what you like, but try not to pester me.
E quindi siamo stati assunti? Chef Tony. Capo, in queste sere passate non hai notato niente di strano nel vicolo qui fuori?
Chef, did you notice?
Weird? Weird, you say? Now that I think about it, yes.
Does it concern a mannequin with a bloody smile drawn on its face by any chance?
No, of course not. What kind of sexual fantasies do you have in
Sessuali.
that Yankee head? I just noticed that the night before last, old Roger didn't show up to beg for food like he usually does every blessed weekend.
Is he homeless?
By now, I consider him more like a regular. He comes here because he knows that on Saturday night, the leftovers are more nutritious and elaborate than any other day.
Where could I find this Roger?
Roger is a vagrant. He usually changes places, so it's hard to say. But if I was really in a hurry to find him, I'd take a walk
Intorno al
around Nancy's.
Nancy's.
That pub-like place on the promenade, right?
That one exactly, Pipsqueak. Now go slice 5 pounds of fresh tomatoes, then mix them and put them on the stove with a drop of oil and a pinch of mustard.
Of course. Maybe in a minute.
Ok, abbiamo sbloccato un'altra zona, quindi. Torna a lavare i piatti col tuo
I'll go back
permesso.
to washing dishes with your permission.
This mayonnaise keeps curdling.
Allora, ricettario, da un'occhiata, va?
A cookbook that seemed to date back to the Babylonian civilization.
Civiltà babilonese.
A cookbook that seemed...
Secchio
It
disgustoso.
contained a variety of offal. Hopefully pork, liver, heart, intestines, and something else. It was a sight many would relive in their nightmares.
Che schifo.
It contained a variety of offal. It was a
Postazione da cucina.
cooking station, as filthy and messy as the rest of the room.
Beh, sì, l'ufficio di igiene qua si diverte.
Establishing how long that stew had been in the pot would have required carbon dating.
Datazione al carbone.
Above the
Scaffale.
shelf I could see a grater, an empty bottle turned on its side, and some heaps of garlic.
Un mucchio di aglio. Chef Tony. Non mi sembra ci sia altro, vero? No. Vabbè, ciao chef. Ok, direi... Spazzatura?
I preferred not to find out.
No. Direi che ce ne possiamo andare. Andiamo a vedere quindi vicino a questo Nancy. Lungomare.
Here's Nancy's, but still no trace of Roger the homeless guy. Hey! Are you the homeless Roger?
Beh, non credo.
Dude, do I look like a homeless guy?
I don't know. Maybe you're undercover.
I'm Mike, and you're a detective, I gather.
How do you know that?
You're wearing a coat in Miami's promenade.
Huh. Touche. So, do you know Roger the homeless guy or not?
Knowing him is a stretch, but I caught a glimpse of him sometimes. He sits right on this bench and stays there enjoying the sun. I didn't see him today, though.
I guess I'll have to stop by later then.
Beh, che fai di bello su un lungomare? Yoga?
So, what brings you to the promenade? Yoga?
Just stretching. I warm up for my daily training, as I do every day.
Are you an athlete?
Not by profession, but I like to keep in shape. Plus, this year I'd like to take part in the famous triathlon held here in Miami.
Ah, yes, the triathlon. Well, last year I went to watch it, but I had to leave halfway through the race. My scarf ended up in the spokes of a participant's bike, causing a series of spectacular falls.
You aren't going to assist with this year's competition, too, are you?
No, they put up posters with my face on them to keep me out.
Good.
Hai sentito del rapimento della rampolla di Mulzberg?
Have you heard about the Mosberg Scion's kidnapping?
No. I don't live in Miami, and honestly, I don't follow the local news.
Ci vediamo, Mike.
See you, Mike.
See you soon, mate.
Allora, pianta.
I didn't know what kind of plant it was, so I didn't care about it.
Chi se ne frega, quindi. Ok. Questi chi se ne frega. Proviamo a vedere il Nancy.
Typical seaside place, where exotic cocktails and Tex-Mex plates were served regularly.
Ok, non c'è altro. Palma
The
nana.
palm was marked with a red symbol on its trunk. I wonder what it meant.
Basta. Motorino.
A good way to enjoy sunny days on the beach. Not as good as Green Dart, but a decent replacement.
Vabbè, torneremo. Quindi andiamo alla villa di Mulzberg. Eccolo.
Who are you? And why have you entered my house without even knocking?
Oh, I'm sorry, Lupe gave me free access. I'm Detective Bundy of the HPD. I'm helping with your daughter's kidnapping case.
The HPD, you said? Am I wrong? Or are we talking about that new support police department formed in the last few years?
You're not wrong, and as you probably know, we average almost a 70% rate of closed cases. And of those, I can say without false modesty that almost 45% are closed by moi.
You're very self-confident, Mr. Did you say Bundy?
It didn't seem right to thump my chest and scream my name as usual, so I just nodded in silence.
So tell me, why is the HPD involved in a normal kidnapping case?
We both know this is not a normal kidnapping case. You were a big shot in this town. The police asked us to help. I hope you don't mind. And most of all, I hoped you wouldn't check. At that moment, I was balanced on a fragile tower of lies.
No, I don't mind at all. The more the forces that cooperate, the greater the chance that we have of finding my daughter as soon as possible. I'm at your complete disposal for anything you may need.
Perfect. And remember, please don't leave the country until the investigation is concluded. He shot me a look that immediately indicated, and without any doubt, that in that house, there was no room for humor.
Beh, chissà come mai. Ma possiamo parlare con...
Mr. Mosberg?
Go ahead.
Allora, cosa può dirmi di sua figlia?
What can you tell me about your daughter?
And Catherine. I know it might sound strange given her social status, but she was a very simple girl. Everyone that knew her couldn't help but love her. But at the same time, nobody dared get too close. You know what it's like.
I understand perfectly. Anything else?
She loved music. You might think that's a family trait, but it's not. Catherine was the first and only one of us who ever touched an instrument. Personally, I know little or nothing about music.
I have to ask, do you think there is anyone who might want to hurt her?
I absolutely and categorically reject the idea. Catherine had no enemies.
I couldn't help but notice how Mosberg talked about his daughter in the past tense. It seemed a bit too soon for such resignation.
A proposito del segno tracciato sulla facciata.
About the sign painted on the facade. How do you think they did it? It's quite high.
I have thought about it nonstop for hours. And honestly, I can't explain it.
Tell me everything you saw or heard.
Last night the silence was abruptly broken by a loud crash. Me and the gardener, who lives in the shed behind the mansion, ran outside and found that symbol. I immediately thought it was blood. Fortunately, I was wrong. It's just paint. It's something I find rather odd. Namely, why bother painting that symbol?
By doing so, the culprit ensured the image would travel around the world and achieve the desired visibility, attracting my attention specifically.
You have a very refined cognitive process, Mr. Bundy. I can understand why you were assigned to the case.
Mi interesserebbe sapere di cosa si occupa di preciso.
I'd be interested to know what business you're in precisely.
Without boring you with the technical details, my company works in the field of shipyards.
Boats? Are they that profitable?
We're talking about a company that covers every sector, from little rafts for family entertainment to luxury yachts, which, believe me, very few people can afford, right up to the construction of entire oil platforms.
That must cost a fortune.
You can't even imagine. For such jobs, we only agree to participate in exchange for sharing the revenue that results from the actual extraction. At the end of the day, Mr. Bundy, it's always about oil.
Lei sa se sua figlia stesse intrattenendo una relazione sentimentale in questo periodo?
Do you know if your daughter was involved in a romantic...
What the hell kind of a question is that? I refuse to talk about my daughter's private
No,
affairs.
per le indagini
Your daughter has
serve.
been kidnapped, and every possible lead must be followed. So please, avoid making a
Esatto.
scene, and be cooperative.
You're right. Sorry for my overreaction. But even if I wanted to, I wouldn't know what to say.
Mo te faccio vedere una foto.
No, I don't think Catherine was having a romantic relationship with anyone. She's still just a girl.
Maybe she is to you. Look at this photo.
Bravo.
Where did you find it?
I'll keep my sources confidential if you don't mind. Now, can you please explain to me why you look so upset?
That picture would be very inconvenient if leaked to the press, Mr. Bundy. My daughter's kidnapping would quickly devolve into rumors of a romantic getaway, and that's a scenario I can't risk happening.
I can assure you this photo will remain in my hands only. But now please answer the question.
I don't recognize that man. I trust you'll identify him, and then report back to me, won't you?
I'll keep you updated. But bear these words firmly in mind. I don't work for you.
I understand perfectly. Now, if you don't mind, I have to steel myself and regain control of my business.
Questo è più interessato ai suoi affari, mi sa, che a sua figlia.
His reaction seemed disproportionate to me, not attributable to simple fatherly jealousy. To hell with Mosberg's wishes. I'd tear apart his room.
Dios mío, qué susto. You scared me.
I didn't think there was anybody in the house. I hoped there was nobody in the house.
Even if the pain is fuerte, I couldn't leave the house in dirt, you understand? And then I couldn't leave el señor Mulsberg alone in such a moment. He is upset and feels that he can do nothing of use.
Commendable, but now you should really let me search the room.
I cannot let anybody enter in here, you remember?
I get it, but I might find something useful for my investigation.
Si fuera por mí, I'd let you search the whole house, but this job me necesita y no puedo risk to lose it.
I understand. Don't worry. Oh, but do worry, Senora Maid. I'll get in there, one way or another.
Bring Miss Catherine back to us, I beg you.
Just what I needed. The maid decided to be a hero right at the least appropriate moment for my investigation. I strongly felt I had to get in there. I certainly wasn't going to be stopped by a stereotypical maid talking in Spanglish.
Mi racconti qualcos'altro su
Tell me something
Catherine?
else about...
Lately she was having a time of isolation. Muy preocupante. Maybe because a piano competition went wrong. The kid really cared about it. She practiced for a long time.
How long did this isolation last?
Months and months, señor. It wasn't like her. Such a lively chica who never let nada get to her. Not even the spirits haunting the house could scare her.
The spirits haunting the house?
You'll think I'm loca, señor. Forget what I just tell you.
Non si preoccupi, sono abituata ai pazzi maniaci, che parli di queste presenze.
Don't worry.
The Mulsbergs are a muy ancient familia, and the spirits of their ancestors are still in here.
Do you have any material proof? Maybe some ectoplasm, a recorded tape with macabre children's voices, you know, something like that.
I never saw any of these manifestations, but La Señorita Catherine did. One night, while she was in the upstairs hall, she hears some whispers. Then, suddenly, words from a threatening voice echo in the air, and the bloody heart almost hit her.
What kind of threatening words?
One of the ancestors' mottos. I read it many times while I dust on the upper floor. Madre de Dios, I'm so terrified this could happen to me too. I come from a very Catholic family, and the bloody heart always scared me since I was a niña.
I liked Catherine more and more. Taking advantage of a bloody heart and a motto uttered from who knows where, she had designed an epic prank. Unconsciously, from the past, the kid had just sent me a clue to getting rid of the maid. I should replicate that scenario myself by acquiring a bloody heart.
C'era un
I was trying to
quadro,
figure out
mi
the
sa.
cursed words used by the girl to lend credibility to her story. The housekeeper told me she had read it while dusting on the upper floor. In addition, I needed a place where I would have full view of the housekeeper, but the main door wasn't an option. Maybe the window on the upper floor would suit me.
Ok, non posso fare proprio niente e comincia a lasciarmi entrare, vero? Cosa mi dici di questa
What do
foto?
you think of this photograph?
I never see that man before.
And yet Catherine seemed to be pretty much of her current age.
Maybe a secret novio, como se dice, a sweetheart?
I have every intention of finding out.
Ok, facciamo fruttare questo giorno di
Let's make this
indagini.
day of investigation worthwhile.
Si puedo ayudar, estoy aquí, señor Bondi.
Mi fa ridere come si vedeva la finestrella, carino. Allora, la frase. Quale potrebbe essere?
The man had an impressive tuft, the gaze of someone who stared death in the eye multiple times, and a medallion that made me inexplicably shiver. The guy had something familiar about him.
Però non c'è frase. Nello scudo medievale forse c'era la
It
frase.
seemed authentic. The Molsbergs even had a coat of... It seemed authentic. I looked at the picture as... Where had I seen him before?
Dove l'avevo visto prima?
Count Manuel Cortez Molsberg. According to the plaque, he had started a branch of the family that settled in Spain, in the autonomous community of Andalusia. But his line of succession had become extinct by the end of the 16th century for reasons not clearly specified. Well, it
Armatura?
didn't seem like a replica. The
Dove c'è una
Archbishop
frase?
Molsberg da Molina. Judging by his size,
Ammazza il prosciutto
there was
più che Dio.
more. Seemed that his love for food was second only to his lust for women. He even forged
Tipico.
a motto about it. The love of the
Ecco,
Lord
l'amore di
must
Dio
be
deve essere il suo in
experienced
suo sopra
in
per
every
essere
form to be truly
compreso.
grasped. This obsession of his, together with his size, caused him to die of heart failure at a not very advanced age. I recalled the story told by the maid. Was this Molina perhaps the inspiration for Catherine's prank? Well, the broken heart didn't match. I had just discovered the words the kid had used to scare the maid to death.
Ok, e una è fatta. Il cuore sanguinante, mi sa che c'era lui a casa, sul letto. Se non sbaglio è così. Che infatti avevo detto era un po' di dubbio gusto quel quadro. Vediamo un attimo. Ah, casa di Lars. Eccolo.
It represented the Sacred Heart of Jesus, a Christian symbol of worship. My grandma insisted that I take it with me to America for protection. But to be honest, I always found it slightly gruesome.
Ma
It
te
represented the
serve?
Sacred Heart of Jesus. My grandma insisted that I
No, lo dobbiamo prendere. Non lo possiamo tagliare. Ciccio, lo devi prendere, serve. Come lo prendiamo? No, torna al gioco.
It represented the Sacred Heart of my grandma insisted.
Non me lo fa prendere però. Perché non me lo fai prendere, maledetto?
On the nightstand was a photo of my parents. Inside it was made.
Chiave inglese. Non c'è neanche niente per tagliare. Questo però mi serve. Io penso sia quello, no? Boh, forbici non mi pare ci siano. Piano bar. E qui pure non c'era altro. Boh, vabbè, proviamo a tornare alla villa dei Mulzberg. Forse posso prendere la forbice dal giardiniere. Vediamo un po'. Anche se qui c'erano le chiavi, in verità. Giardiniere.
Hello, good man.
Yes?
Cosa mi dici di questa
What can you tell me
foto?
about this photo?
Well, well, they look like two tender lovebirds.
Did you consider this could be the kidnapper's face?
Gosh, you're right. Did you show the picture to the authorities?
Of course I did. Experienced forensic scientists are working on tracking the subject at this very moment.
Rimanga nei
Stick
paraggi.
around.
Però la forbice non gliene frega,
I
ma le
could have
chiavi
stolen
sì.
those keys just to kill time, but I preferred to wait. Surely the need to do that would arise soon enough.
Sicuramente sarebbe servito da lì a breve. E qua dietro pure non mi pare ci fosse niente per tagliare.
The door was locked, but I didn't mind.
Potevo entrare dall'ingresso principale. E questo però non gliene frega. E quindi come facciamo? Qua non c'è altro, no. Ho trovato la frase, ma mi manca quel cuore lì. Telefono?
An old style phone.
Ah sì, l'aveva detto. Vediamo un po' se è successo qualcos'altro. Vediamo un
There's
po' così.
absolute.
Lo siento, señor, pero no puedo.
If I wanted to obtain access to that room, I knew a plausible motto decreed by one of the Mosberg ancestors.
Conosceva la
I had to
frase.
find a bloody heart to make the
Ma
prank.
ce
I
l'ho.
already found a way to put the prank into practice.
Mi sei recata dalla finestra in stanza di Gretrin. Mi manca quel cuore, ma il cuore c'è. Non ho capito perché non lo prende. Perché praticamente avrebbe fatto così. Cioè, da qui lo fa.
The window was directly above the tycoons, offering me a good opportunity to infiltrate it. I just had to come up with a method to lower myself
Il
down.
sistema per calarmi. Allora, con il panno.
I thought I could tie some clothes to the radiator, creating a handmade rope that might lower me from the window. And the tycoon's room was directly underneath. A risky plan indeed. On the other side, I had walked across a wooden board suspended in midair the previous day, and I like to be consistent. It is time to take some more clothes downstairs.
Ok, quindi prendiamo dei panni. Ah, lo sta a fare lui, perfetto. Quindi questo è
I couldn't get
fatto.
off the ledge yet. The bleeding heart was one of the key elements of my plan. I couldn't proceed without.
Ma non me lo prende. Dai, ci devono essere delle forbici da qualche
Always suffered from
parte. Bambola.
There were dolls everywhere in that room. Either or she was traumatized.
Le forbici, le forbici. Qua non ci sono forbici. Cioè, le uniche forbici che mi vengono in mente sono quelle del giardiniere, però a quanto pare no. Qui forbici non ci sono.
The cart contained many products for help.
Allora, se dovessimo andare al quartier generale, magari ci sono delle forbici e non l'ho viste. Se no forse di qua. Ok, con questo non dobbiamo più parlare. Invece andando di qua è cambiato qualcosa. C'è sto mino qui. No, cassetta degli
I'd already rated everything I
attrezzi.
could.
Abbiamo già razziato il razziabile. Avido lettore.
A real play guy enthusiast. Wait a second. I'd replace play guy with. Well, he seemed happy with the substitution.
Questo poster cos'era?
Ramos was everywhere, constantly reminding me of the thrashing I suffered.
Ah, ok, quello lì ci ha fatto fare brutta figura. E niente, forbici neanche qui. E quindi diventa complicato. Ah, possiamo anche riscendere in verità qui sotto. Questo non mi dice altro.
Hey there, kid.
What do you want?
Mi servono delle forbici. Vediamo un po'
Tell me
così.
more about your.
I don't tell my business to the first surfacer that comes down here.
Do you mean superficial?
No, I meant surfacer. That is, a surface inhabitant.
Come on, open up a bit and share.
What a pain in the neck. When we were babies, my parents let me and my 3 brothers drop down a
Ma
gutter.
madonna.
Then the rat you saw initiated us in the ninja arts. Since then, we've protected this filthy city.
Let me guess. M stands for Michelangelo, right?
Exactly.
Riproviamoci. Come sei finito a vivere qui
Let's try
sotto?
again. How'd you end up living down here?
I was born deformed, and for that reason, I was put in a basket by my mother and abandoned on the Miami River. A community of penguins raised me.
Well,
Sì, vabbè.
now that you're admitting your deformity, I can finally say out loud that you have a head bigger than your body.
Hey, that's not true at all.
Come on. It's not believable that penguins raised you.
They're great animals, you know. I really like them. Unlike bats.
Dai, dimmi la verità sul tuo
For the
passato.
To protect me from my father, a big guy with asthma who always wore black, I was raised by my uncles. The only bond I have with my parents is a scar on my forehead, inflicted as a newborn during a terrible struggle in which my mother was killed.
This time you got it a little mixed up. Have you got a twin sister, perhaps?
I'm not sure. I just know that my best friend stole the only girl around.
There you go. There was a common element in the kid's tales, being abandoned after he was born.
E quindi che abbiamo...
Smell you later, kid.
Cioè, a che è servito sapere che questo è stato abbandonato? Qua non ci va perché si perde.
Back there, it was a
E si perde. E queste cose qui?
canned beans.
Fagioli in
Seriously,
scatola. Ne vado davvero matto. E se li prendi così?
maybe. Or
Dai,
maybe
ci
not.
stava tutto.
Was it really worth?
Il
Was it
gabbiotto
really
però
worth
forse
it?
lo fa... Ah, ok. Mi sembrava strano. Non abbiamo niente per arrivare lì. Forse col metro?
I thought it was better to look for another.
No.
Sometimes. I thought it was
E
better.
niente, mi ci fa credere.
Once my colleagues, I had to go.
Con la chiave inglese ci arrivi, no?
I didn't understand how that. Canned beans. Seriously.
Vabbè, quindi mi sa che al momento non possiamo prenderli. O non gli interessa prenderli. Quindi niente di tagliente. Ah no, devo andare all'ufficio, sono stupida. Devo vedere un attimo qua sopra. Ah, prima di tutto vediamo se questa ha trovato qualche notizia.
Hello.
Hi, Lars.
No,
We'll
troppo
catch up later,
presto.
Keep me posted.
Qua roba tagliente non c'è. Il collega no. L'ufficio di Barton. Ci servirà a parlare con lui?
I'm a badge now. I'm a badge now.
Ah, ok, non serve. Invece qui fuori, questi strumenti qui, per tipo non c'è più. Possiamo prendere qualcosa.
Exhausted, it's
Trapano, non ci serve più. Il saldatrice, idem con patate. La finestra. Possiamo ripassare di qua però.
There was no sense in cheating death again now that I had.
No, quindi Miami.
As always, Miami left me breathless.
E che serve? Un
One of the many
parco?
city parks where you can go jogging by the sea. Not that I ever jogged in my life, but sometimes I lurked on some bench watching the girls running. I would
Mare.
have gladly gone to the beach rather than spending my day at the office. Well, maybe I would do it later.
Skyline e cielo.
Miami stood out against the horizon, dazzling as always. It wasn't exactly an easy city to live in, with its alarming traffic and no subway. But for me, it had always been a place where the sun rose.
E il
Another
cielo?
amazing... At the day, the sky had, I don't know, something magnetic.
Niente, vabbè, quindi è inutile al momento qui. E niente, cioè... Rivediamo un attimo nel vicolo, forse in cucina. C'è un coltello, qualcosa che taglia. Il vicolo. Allora, qua non mi prendevi questa roba.
Seemed like a vending machine.
No. Il poster te fa girare le
That
palle.
bad guy's face.
Ok, le
Never
bombolette,
liked
che
staining.
se ne frega. La spazzatura,
No trace of the events.
no. Questa spazzatura non ti frega. Chef, c'hai un coltello? Non è che ti avanza un cuore?
chef. You don't have
Ah.
a spare heart, do you?
They constantly ask for them. Those aristocratic pigs. You can find a bucket full of them near the entrance door.
To be honest, it's for personal use.
I knew immediately I'd hired a beginner, but I'd hope you had at least a little taste.
I am full of taste. I am a...
You're a runt, that's what you are.
Un tappo di
Stop
sughero.
interrupting my official presentation. I perfected it over years.
Listen, Ant, fresh hearts are really expensive, and I surely won't waste one of them on a kitchen boy.
Okay, I get the message. What do I have to do to get that heart?
Now we're talking. I
Polpette
need some
special
special
numero
number
5.
5 meatballs, cooked with the recipe you can find on that counter over there. I'll need them in large quantities for tonight, so try to hurry.
The preparation seemed elementary, but the ingredients would be a problem.
Allora.
Florida ginger. I have no idea what that is.
It's a root, but I don't know its shape. Normally, my supplier delivers it already grated.
And the other ingredients. Don't we have any of them already?
You can find salt and pepper on your workstation. For the rest, you need to make do yourself. Ever since I threw that cleaver at him, my supplier has disappeared. Oh, and be careful with the exotic meat. It must have a fresh new taste, something never tried before. These aristocrats become more and more demanding.
Can I take that Parmesan from the shelf up there at least?
No, it's only the crust. I keep it there to lure out those damn rats that plague West Miami.
Tell me about it. I've also had my share of headaches with those little pests in my place. So I'd find salt and pepper right on the workstation. Considering the sophisticated nature of some of these ingredients, the Molesberg residence seemed like a promising place
Ah,
to start.
ok. Quindi da Villa Mulzberg possiamo prendere qualcosa. Infatti questo è 5 stelle, sto chef. Eppure non sembra. Allora, ci vuole il macinato esotico, no supermercato. Uovo di gallina o vaiola siciliana. Vino d'annata, parmigiano DOP stagionato 24 mesi. Questo ce l'ha a casa sua. Zenzero della Florida fresco.
I had absolutely zero idea how Florida... Parmesan, a cheese of Italian origin. Before moving to America, I
Ne
hated
mangiava a tonnellate.
The wine had to be strictly vintage. The typical stuff.
Con la puzza sotto il naso. Vabbè, allora, direi che... Quindi non ci vuole il quadro, io pensavo al quadro, invece ci vuole proprio un cuore vero. Direi che possiamo andare un attimo qua a prendere il parmigiano.
I had tried many times to recover that piece of Parmesan, to no avail. First of all, it was too high. Secondly, the collapse of the floor beneath made it impossible to approach anything to climb on.
Ok, però possiamo provare a prenderlo a lunga il metro e farlo
I
cadere.
didn't understand how that could possibly help me.
Usa la chiave inglese e fallo
Maybe it was the
cadere.
right thing to do, but in that moment, I didn't realize it.
E usa questo e piano.
I didn't understand how that could
E dai, in qualche modo lo devi prendere. Non abbiamo altre cose. Tira il distintivo. Dove sta? E fallo cadere.
Was it really worth it?
Voragine. Possiamo coprire la voragine in qualche modo? No. Peschiamo qualcosa dalla voragine?
Was it really worth it?
Niente, mi ci fa credere ogni volta. Vabbè, quindi qui al momento non c'è niente.
I was sure I would find only bills and late payment warnings. Sometimes it's better not to...
Vabbè, parmigiano lo facciamo magari per ultima cosa. Adesso ho detto di andare alla villa di Mulsberg e c'è l'uovo della gallina, quello lì enorme. Ecco, vorrei prendere questo, grazie.
I didn't know if the hen was Sicilian or not. Maybe the gardener could help me.
Ah, ok, glielo dobbiamo proprio
Hello,
chiedere.
good man.
Yes?
Ha qualcuno di questi
Have you
ingredienti?
got any of these ingredients?
Incredible! This seems like the recipe for meatballs my mother used to make.
What nonsense. These are needed to create powder to help detect fingerprints at the crime scene.
Huh. A PDO egg. That's curious. Our Betsy is a
Che
purebred.
coincidenza.
A Sicilian hen, to be precise.
But that's exactly the quality I need. Can I take one egg?
I don't think it would be a problem, but I must warn you. That hen is a little surly.
And can you tell me anything about the Florida ginger?
I can't help you there, sorry.
Aren't you the gardener?
Confidentially speaking, I'm not exactly an expert botanist. Mr. Molesberg took it for granted after he saw my topiaries and hired me.
In short, you're totally useless.
Vabbè, ma poverino.
Stick around.
Allora, vediamo se riusciamo a prendere sto uovo.
I was suddenly hungry for broth.
Però se chiudiamo lo sportello ti attacchi al cavolo.
The hatch didn't want to stay down. The spring was defective and tended to pop the hatch back up into its original position.
Ok, allora, come facciamo a tenere giù questo qua? Io metto sempre il magnete.
In that moment, the hatch was needed to lock the hen in the cage. Come here, sweetie. I was suddenly hungry.
Il balsamo è un po' appiccicoso.
I was all out of ideas.
Sì, sono a corto di idee, lo ammetto. Non lo so, col metro.
In
Faccio
that
tutto col
moment,
metro.
It didn't seem to be a good solution to
Io
me.
sono d'accordo con te, però non lo so. Chiave inglese.
A chicken house, a chicken coop. In this case,
Mica semplice, pianta.
the site could have fooled me, but surely not the smell.
Rosmarino.
That was rosemary.
Ma posso prendere adesso le chiavi?
I could have stolen those keys just to kill time, but I preferred to wait. Surely the need to do that would...
Niente, deve sapere perché lo fa. Porta chiusa.
It was impossible to open the lock with my bare hands. I'd need the key. A big lock kept the door...
I need the key, però non le puoi prendere. Ma non è che il cibo per cani è la carne
The cook
esotica?
demanded exotic meat with a taste never tried before. Well, as far as
Ma
I'm
che
concerned,
schifo.
that one satisfied both requirements. I couldn't pick it up with my bare hands, though.
Non poteva raccoglierla a mano, giustamente. E bettina nel
The cook
barattolo.
demanded exotic meat.
Che schifo. Beh, parliamone. Ok, più o meno. Alveare.
Buzzing, threatening, potentially...
Quindi manca l'uovo di gallina, vabbè, il vino, il parmigiano e zenzero.
Here, Bridget. Come here. Something in the look of that dog told me the door was locked, but I didn't.
Possiamo provare a vedere se la tipa, magari diciamo c'è qualcuno di questi ingredienti, può darci magari qualche aiuto. Se le chiedessi alcuni ingredienti saprebbe
If I
aiutarmi?
asked you for some
Lo siento mucho. I don't deal with the kitchen myself. The vintage wine, though. Signor Malzberg has always some bottles.
Ok,
but
lei tiene là
he
dietro
does
dove
not
sta
keep
la
them in the
chiusa a chiave e
mansion.
noi freghiamo
Do
la
you
chiave a
know where he
quello.
stores them?
Unfortunately, no. But you know who you
Al
should ask?
The
giardiniere.
gardener has vintage wine?
Actually, he shouldn't. As a matter of fact, he will never confess to it. The point is that le gusta beber, so from time to time he nicks a bottle from El Señor and hides it in the shed at the back.
In the shed, you said? Huh, good to
Oh,
know.
alleluia.
Oh, but he'll never let you in. He keeps the keys on his belt and guards them
Non
as
è
if
vero,
they fueran
li
part of
fregheremo
his body.
facilmente.
Don't worry. I have no intention of wasting time asking.
Facciamo affrontare questo
Let's
giorno
make
di
this
indagini. Ok. Quindi il giardiniere.
There were the keys to the shed, hanging from the belt of the gardener. Asking him would be useless, given that they were covering up his little crime. The only solution was to
Ok.
try
E
lifting
mo
them from
cerchiamo
him.
di
There was an
sfilargliele.
obstacle, though. The huge brim of his hat blocked my view. Maybe if I made him bend over...
Forse facendolo chinare. Allora, foglie.
I wondered if I might need them to make the gardener bend over.
E lì sì, sono d'accordo. Che possiamo fare? La sigaretta nelle
Doing that, I wouldn't
foglie.
have made the gardener bend down. Just run away like hell.
Fuggire a gambe levate. Beh, sì, da una parte. Accendino nelle foglie, idem con
Doing
patate.
that, I wouldn't... In that moment,
Che ci possiamo mettere nelle foglie?
was it really worth it?
Le chiavi di queste?
Was it really worth it? I wondered if I might...
Lo so, però che ci possiamo mettere?
Hello, good man.
Yes?
Parliamo di vino dannata.
Let's talk about vintage wine.
Vintage wine? Never seen, never heard, and in fact, I'm a teetotaler.
Such a guilty conscience. Lupe was right. I would never get him to talk. Never mind. The keys were my target.
Ok,
Stick
rimangano
around.
i paraggi. Dunque, il distintivo nelle
I didn't
foglie.
understand how that could possibly help me.
Lo so, però in qualche modo questo si deve abbassare. Il badge nelle
No matter how hard I
foglie.
tried.
Il cellulare nelle
With
foglie.
Ramos, it had proven to be a good plan, so why not?
Oh, bei vecchi trucchi.
Just then, I realized I hadn't set my alarm clock. At that point, retrieving the phone and throwing it back into the leaves would have aroused suspicion. I had to come up with another way to make the phone ring.
Vabbè, mo entriamo a casa dei Malzberg. Chiamiamo il nostro numero.
Good idea. I dialed...
Ok,
Well, it was ringing. Now I had to hurry up.
esatto, mo sbrigate.
Now that the gardener was bent over, I could clearly see the shed key. People
Ottimo.
should really add velvet fingers to my list of nicknames. Hey, you know what? I guess I lost my phone in that pile of leaves.
You freaked me out with that damn vibration. I thought it was a mole attack.
Ok, quindi adesso andiamo qui subito. Chiave del capanno, porta chiusa.
Hey, not bad at all.
Non vedi?
Toilet in the same room as the bed? Interesting idea. And there was the reason for my raid.
Allora, vino. Ok, il vino è preso.
White wine from a good year. Fruity, clear, slightly tannic. Yeah, I'm just randomly throwing out words.
Abbiamo preso anche una
A chain can
catena.
always come in handy for something. For example, to lock someone's bike to a lamppost.
Scaffale medio.
That rope might have been useful if it wasn't rotten from its first to last fiber.
E allora che lo dice a fa?
I
Scaffale
picked up the sprayer if
basso.
it didn't contain a strange and probably toxic greenish liquid. I don't know why, but I've always had a passion for vaporizers. The
Scaffale
shears are inviting, but
alto.
I would have felt like a worm depriving the gardener of his best tool. Nah, who am I kidding? I didn't steal them only because they were all rusty. Flea-bitten,
Letto.
creased, beaten up, old, smelly. The only
Schifo.
adjective that didn't apply there was inviting.
Il libro no. Frigorifero.
I didn't want to rummage through that man's fridge. Who knows what kind of crap I'll find inside?
Asta appendiabiti.
That clothes stick was too appealing to leave it where
Ok,
it
con
was.
questo forse possiamo prendere il parmigiano.
Fortunately, it was retractable, so I managed to put it in my coat.
Era telescopico, microscopico, c'era scritto.
Grope a
Topiario.
statue made of grass. Why not?
Cumulo di sassi.
Pebbles and dust, nothing more.
Water.
The toilet seat was up. That was enough to know that no woman had been there for months.
Casse.
The boxes were stacked in no particular order. I didn't know what they contained, and I couldn't be bothered finding out.
Ok, vabbè, direi prendiamo il parmigiano. E poi ci manca prendere l'uovo. Forse con la catena. Potremmo provare dopo. Allora, casa di Lars. Attaccapanni sul parmigiano.
Being very careful, I believed I would be able to grab that piece of Parmesan.
Perfetto, quindi manca l'uovo e lo zenzero. Va bene ragazzi, dai, ci fermiamo qui. Prossimo video proviamo a vedere se con la catena possiamo chiudere la gabbia della gallina e prendergli l'uovo. Voi come sempre mettete un mi piace, lasciate un commento, iscrivetevi al canale e vi aspetto al prossimo episodio. Alla prossima!